I'm going to have a little bit more real talk with the Uplift protocol. The reason why Lorraine and Eliza won't actually have kids physically related to them at all is because, one, I set up the Typherian stuff to where so I wouldn't have a situation of, a whole planet of Kryptonians, basically. That's the reason why most Typherian parents, when they do have their kids, they get some of the kind of like background drop for matter manipulation and all the other things through their parents. Like they'll get some of the basics passed on to them. But since Gino's basically by herself, and that's why she has to put all her concentration into passing along some basic like impulses to her children in terms of what their to develop their spinal nodes and all that stuff. Because I wanted to come at it again from a way to prevent a whole entire planet of Supermen existing. Because even though that was fairly interesting for the Superman side of things, I just wanted to go a little bit different with Uplift Protocol. But that also comes with the like who and who's gonna have babies. Not all the races can intermingle. You'll find out more about Ritark's situation later. Depending on where you guys are at or in the books. The reason why he's a bit different is because the one who followed him is a bit different too. But it's not going to be like, oh yes, the Marquette can intermingle with the Litari and all that stuff like that. Gino was pretty shocked that she was able to have kids naturally with Thomas. She thought she'd have to basically, get somebody to donate or something like that. Which sometimes that does happen in Typherian society for certain couples, once they got to the wider range of meeting other races and everything. But again, there's reasons why she was able to have kids with Thomas. It comes out in book 1, basically. You'll see why. But honestly, you can give a same-sex couple children in other ways if you really want to in your book. Me personally, I'm not going to go that route with both of them. For one, later on, Eliza's going to be pretty busy with taking care of many children in terms of, that if it wasn't apparent already, you'll see by the end of book 1 that she's going to be basically a shield for the whole entire multiverse. So that's a whole lot of kids to help take care of. It's something that she's pretty much accepted. But I do have a little bit of a surprise in that aspect, because the end of Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman, they gave Superman and Lois a baby to take care of. Well, you know what? There might be something in the cards for that. It's just that look. Sometimes looking at my Twitter feed is like, updating fairy tales to basically try to strip out what made them hit in the first place. It doesn't always work. The whole, let's see, because one of them, Hero Geek, was talking about Godmothered just made a concentrated effort to remove the word Lord from the lyrics of Joy to the World, and it got really woke near the end when this whole true love and happily ever after comes in many forms. They showed this by featuring a gay couple with a baby. And yeah, it's gotten to the point where anytime you see anything like that, most people will assume it's to get woke political clout points. That's all it's really turned into. That's why you won't get more stuff like Gabrielle and Xena, where they'll legitimately develop a couple, from friends to something else. Most of the woke contingent will automatically have all the gay couples roll together in bed, like super quick, like a knee-jerk, like, oh, we got to get them together as fast as possible. It's like, to me personally, I'd rather you showcase, why do these characters work together? It was pretty apparent by I think like season 2 that Xena did have feelings for Gabrielle, and then once you saw some of that culminate with Xena riding around in Autolycus's body for that resurrection aspect, to get her back in her body with the food of the gods and everything. Yeah, you can tell they have more than just regular friendship going on. But it just wasn't put in there cheaply. When I was younger and watching it, I didn't pick up on everything at first, and then as I watched a few things when I got older, I'm like, oh, okay. But it's gotten to the point where they just want to be like, okay, this established thing used to be like sword and sorcery, but now we're gonna just make it gay, and it's like, it's just a cheap add-on. If you're going to make a same-sex couple, then don't make them just miserable sad sacks. Don't just do cheap window dressing of like, oh, this one has a gay parents or something, and then it's never mentioned again. Because I've looked at samples where it's like that. That's all it is. It's the reason why I can only really recommend some older books. Even though Lynn Fueling went even bit more off the deep end, again, most of these writers that in the past 10, 15 years, it's like, oh my God, guys. oh boy. Because if I came down to it, if I ever decide to make like a professional, like social account for my writing, that's all I'll really do. Is I won't put my hot takes on that particular account. I'll just update people when X, Y, or Z is coming out. Maybe answer some questions, that sort of thing. Nowadays, everybody has to basically wear their political shield on their sleeve and try to beat each other to death with it. Which, conservative side should not be the polite losers. Personally, I do poke my head into the culture war every once in a while, say my piece, and then I keep going. But to kind of get back to Uplift Protocol, like, yeah, there's certain things that won't happen because, again, marriage is a religious rite. So Lorraine and Liza aren't going to get married with, a human religion in the backdrop of it. That's just my way of not worrying about putting any kind of modern connotations of like, religious war, and, like the war on everything else and X, Y, or Z and all that stuff. Because again, I want to escape most of those things. And I also want to legitimately see a happy same-sex couple. Because you don't really see that in modern fiction shows or anywhere else. Not in the same way. Like, sure, Xena had a very downer ending, but everything building up to it was pretty good. But then again, Xena was what I would term a real gray morality character that was on an atoner quest, for like the ultimate redemption. And apparently with that final, that was how she was able to even the playing board in terms of like karma and everything else. Did I quite agree with it? No, because I legitimately, me personally, I want to see upbeat, uplifting endings. So, but that's the reason why with Uplift Protocol I have so many straight couples, because right now, they want it to be on the other foot where there's like an overabundance of same-sex representation. But you gotta look at the reality of it. It's like, how many people legitimately are of that persuasion when they're reading this stuff? Is there enough, gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, to legitimately fund everything? And in my humble opinion, no, I don't see that happening. And as much as some crowds complain about it, the character creation stuff from Baldur's Gate 3 proves that no matter what you do, the majority of the people consuming most of these products are straight, white males. Can women and everybody else enjoy that stuff? Can anybody basically enjoy that stuff? Yes, they can. But if you don't like the direction something's going, and you know what? That's even for the woke contingent too, because they basically supplanted everything that they wanted to. It's the reason why we're all in the situation that we're in. You have to make the stuff. You can't just constantly complain. If you want to outdo another contingent, you have to really start putting your knuckle down and start putting stuff out, regardless of what the other side says or what anybody says. Really, you have to put out what you want to see. And since they want to see a whole bunch of hollowed out representation, we're getting a whole lot of that in the YA junk, science fiction and fantasy and everything else that they can basically latch onto, whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, and it's just sad that most of the stuff that did all that pretty decently, they basically bury it under a bridge because it's like, oh no, Zeta Gabrielle, it was spearheaded by a man, so that experience for that can't possibly connect to people outside of men that want to see hot women get it on. It's like, yeah, then if that's the case, then my ass wouldn't have been watching the stuff I watched when I grew up. Now, my parents didn't let me watch certain things until I got older, so that way I could better understand the context of certain stuff. But I still saw a bit of Tim Curry with it, and when I was like 4 or 5, and then I had a subconscious fear of clowns for a few years because I saw the part I saw was when he came out of the bottom of the shower head, or the shower thing at the piping, and made that giant hole and then tried to grab the kid. I'm like, oh god. Yeah, Tim Curry is truly frightening depending on the role you give him. Yeah, but again, with the Uplift protocol, I just aim to try to entertain. Whether people agree with everything that's in it, that's up to them. If people want to see certain kinds of stuff, you got to make it. You really do. And that's kind of why I'm pretty frustrated with certain aspects of social media and everything else. It's like people do make more money complaining about things rather than trying to, like, okay, if you're complaining about this, then provide something on the springboard to counterbalance whatever you're seeing. And yeah, it's interesting how people always assume, like, oh yeah, you're just getting two women together for the male gaze and blah blah blah. It's like, hi, last time I checked, I'm pretty straight, but I find certain relationship aspects adorable, like just in terms of like just seeing people genuinely connect. I find that pretty adorable, and a lot of older style courtly romance stuff has that, where you see people just going through the stages of initial courtship, meeting, and then it develops from there. That's the reason why I felt bad for Ivanova. It's like she can never catch a break. It's like, why can't she find somebody to really be with? I wish I had been able to see that in the actual show. But eventually, JMS did link the whole, incurable romantic part where Marcus and Ivanova eventually got together. But I also felt bad that it's like, oh, we'll never really get to see what happened with Talia because, the actress left the show. I would have been interested in seeing Ivanova and Garibaldi teaming up to rescue Talia, from Psy-Corps and bringing back her original personality, because I thought when Kosh took that bit from her in the one season, the reactions and everything, that would have been a way to bring the actual real Talia back. At least I think so, based on what I could see. But will we ever get to really see that resolution? No, because again, the actress left, and then eventually Claudia Christian left, but I wanted to see Ivanova genuinely happy, and I thought she had a very genuine, sweet connection to Talia. But that's just me. Different strokes for different folks, different levels of what will keep people out versus what will keep them in. no one book series probably would be able to cater to somebody 100% unless you yourself created it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And that's what a whole lot of the woke people are doing on their end of things. They want their stuff to be all artist political. So I'm going to be on the ground floor of making books are entertainment. So see you later, everybody.